Aloha and welcome back to another video. Today I will be covering Thor Essentials Volume 1, an omnibus containing issues 83 through 112, 30 issues in total. And stay tuned till the end of the video to hear about a special update in regards to the channel and upcoming content. This omnibus ranges from 1962 to 1965, so the very early years of Thor's inception, as a matter of fact. And originally the Journey into Mystery series went over a bunch of different heroes and a bunch of different characters, but Thor eventually took over the series later on, and you get to see that happen through this omnibus. And the work contained within this omnibus is really just great. So here's Thor fighting the Incredible Hulk, and you get to see different interesting character dynamics. And this one's, since I stopped reading the book after a while and just now got back into it, this one's the one that's most recently in my memory. But even just comparing it to what I've been reading in other series, it's really up there in terms of where I would rank it. It's really great. But one issue that comes up is how originally these issues weren't intended to be in black and white. They were in color, and because of that, certain aspects of the foreground and background are really hard to see. And that might not be the best example, but in more detailed scenes where there's just so much going on, especially in a small scene such as this, it gets hard to tell where the background is. They're fighting in a tunnel, and if I remember this panel correctly, they're fighting in a tunnel, and the cement tunnel is falling in on them, and it's hard to see where the background and foreground is and everything. And it's not a deal breaker, but if you want to read these issues and you have the extra money to spend, there's omnibuses multiple omnibuses that have been out that encompass these issues and many more. I don't know about these exact 1962 to 1965, these specific 30 issues, but these 30 issues have been available in many different forms, in color and with better print quality, and the page quality is super thin because of its cheap price, and there's not a lot of different shades of black that they use, for example, which is why I think this problem is so prevalent. Beyond it not being in color, I think this issue really wouldn't have been as big of an issue if they just used more shades of gray, but they didn't even do that. So that's not to say this work is bad at all. I really want to stress that. This work is definitely worth reading if you want to see the beginning of the mighty adventure, if you want to see the journey through the mystery of Thor. But if you have the extra money to spend, if you have experience with comic books, then I don't think I'd recommend reading Thor Essentials Volume 1. I recommend reading it in some other form. But it was perfect for me at the time that I got it. It was possibly my first introduction to a comic book hero in actual comic books, in a big form like a book like this. So it did its job for me, and it may do its job for you if you're in the same position. Next up, we have that special announcement I spoke of. Every Wednesday, I'd like to try to put out videos showing my weekly polls and the weekly series I'm following, and show off the issues, and then review last week's issues that I got, last Wednesday's issues. This Wednesday, however, this is just the beginning of this, so I'll show you some issues I picked up this week. I didn't get to pick up everything that I wanted to, so it's going to take until next week for me to fully get on track, but hopefully I'll be able to every Wednesday. If I can get it out on Wednesday, it might be Thursday if I can't. But hopefully every Wednesday I'll be able to show you that week's issues and then review last week's issues. So this week what I was able to pick up is issue 1 of Crossover. What a beautiful cover. Crossover by Donny Cates is a story of comic book heroes coming into the real world and crossing over. And it's really from what I've read and what I've seen online, I haven't read this yet. I can't say, I can't really say a lot of details, but as far as I know, it seems as if it's kind of a love letter to people, to comic books as a whole, really, because it centers around people that read comic books and, you know, the worlds they read about coming to life. So, and as you can see, the art is wonderful. Really great art. I love the art in classic Silver Age and Bronze Age comics. And a lot of modern comics, I'm not always necessarily on board with their art styles, but this is pretty good, especially the color. The color is the main thing to take away. Some stuff is more faded and more pastel-like, but other things are quite vibrant, like during different action scenes and things that come to life. As I was flipping through here, and there's like dot matrix, little dots on different background objects, and there's a little rip there. That's too bad. On different people's faces and things, like it was printed on an old printer from back in the day and such. But overall, though, so yeah, I'm excited to read that. Next up, we have a series that I want to follow that's also still running, is the newest Thor series. This is part 2 of the Prey run, issue 10. I'm not actually planning on picking up it may seem like I'm just jumping into the series, and I sort of am, but that's only in physical form. I'm going to be reading through the past issues through Marvel Unlimited. And if you'd like me to do a video on that, then I could in the future. But as you can see, the color is just, great. As I said, art in modern comics, I'm sometimes mixed on, but throughout this, that the artistry is good. But mainly, I think the main takeaway for me, at least, is just that the vibrancy of the colors and the dramatic shots and such. And Marvel really has been doing an excellent job in that, in Daredevil and the Spider-Man series I was looking at, and now it seems as if Thor is following that same path. So I'll be excited to talk to you about that in either next week's polls or the week after that. And finally, this is from a few years back, but it was only $1, so I wanted to pick it up. This is Man Without Fear, which is the first in a series. Came out a few years ago, Daredevil, and I don't know much else besides that, to be honest. But I've been getting into Daredevil. I've been reading the newest currently running series. I forget the author's name at the moment, to be honest with you. And anyways, just mainly it's cheap price, and the fact that it was the first issue of a series is why I picked it up, or possibly just took a run. I don't know why that is. Oh, unfolds and everything. Cool. Nice. Advertising a different series. Anyways, so yeah. Look forward to me talking about those in some form in the future. Not necessarily this issue specifically, because it's from a few years in the past. I mostly want to talk about the new series that I'm following, and every week you can see how they progress. But if you're interested, I could cover this later on and cover this series. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And aloha.